The Canadian dream is quietly unraveling. In 2023, over 50,000 people, an all-time record, left Canada for good. But behind the polite headlines, there's a growing exodus, fueled not by wanderlust, but by a crisis most Canadians are too polite or too exhausted to admit. For decades, Canada has been mythologized as a sanctuary. Universal healthcare, multicultural cities, breathtaking nature, political stability, and some of the world's friendliest people. From glossy tourism campaigns to influencer vlogs, it's portrayed as the promised land for both citizens and newcomers. The message? If you're dissatisfied where you live, Canada is the answer. This image is actively cultivated by the Canadian government, looking to attract talent and investment, by tourism boards chasing tourist dollars, and by social media influencers who build followings on wanderlust and escapism. The illusion is lucrative. Immigration alone generated $24.6 billion in economic activity in 2022. People believe in this idealized version because it's both comforting and convenient. International rankings list Canadian cities among the most livable. Movies show picture-perfect towns blanketed in snow. And for those outside looking in, the statistics and narratives are selectively presented, feeds full of success stories, but silent on the daily grind. But cracks begin to show once you live in Canada, not just visit. The cost of groceries is up nearly 20% since 2020, with basic items like milk, eggs, and produce approaching luxury status. Young professionals struggle to find stable, affordable housing, even outside major cities. When concerns are raised, they're often downplayed. It's just supply and demand, or that's the price of living somewhere safe. Friends encourage patience. Local government assures reform is coming. But for many, these are band-aid explanations for festering wounds. It's when personal budgets are busted by skyrocketing rents, now averaging $2,500 per month for a one-bedroom in Toronto, or when hospital wait times stretch from hours to months, that the disconnect between ideal and reality becomes impossible to ignore. Listen carefully in line at the pharmacy or at a neighborhood dinner, and you'll hear Canadians quietly expressing exhaustion, frustration, even regret. Many confide they dream of moving somewhere more affordable, or where the pace of life doesn't grind them down. Stories rarely shared with outsiders for fear of judgment or seeming ungrateful. The lived experience is a far cry from the dream. Most face financial stress as salaries fail to keep pace with inflation. Average wage growth in 2023 was only 3.9%, lagging behind a 5.3% rise in living costs. Healthcare, once a second pride, is now plagued by record wait times. Some family doctors have patient queues so long they're forced to close their practices entirely. Beneath the surface, systemic issues compound. The housing sector rewards speculation and foreign investment more than local stability. Public healthcare buckles under bureaucratic inefficiency and chronic underfunding. Immigration policies, aggressive on recruitment, are sluggish on integration, spawning frustration for new arrivals and their sponsors. The toll isn't just financial. Mental health is at crisis levels. According to a 2023 Angus Reid survey, 1 in 3 Canadians report significant anxiety over housing, and depression rates continue to climb. Many young adults, unable to move out or envision stable futures, face daily exhaustion. Intergenerational households are becoming the norm for survival rather than culture. The numbers paint the stark picture. Over 50,000 individuals left Canada for other OECD countries in 2023, up 65% from a decade ago. Average household debt now sits at $1.85 for every $1 earned. Emergency room wait times in some provinces exceed 20 hours. 62% of Canadians polled in a 2024 survey said they considered moving abroad for quality of life. Why is this happening? Structural roots run deep. Policy decisions favoring real estate investors over first-time buyers, enduring underinvestment in health and infrastructure, and the political valorization of immigration without adequate social planning. Economic shocks from global crises amplify the strain. Who profits? Developers, speculators, and corporate landlords benefit from a housing market that accelerates wealth extraction. Governments gain from immigration targets that boost GDP and short-term economic stats, even if long-term integration is underfunded. The media profits from perpetuating a good news narrative that attracts tourism and investment. The casualties are everyday Canadians, especially immigrants, indigenous populations, and young families. Those with fewer resources face cascading disadvantages, unable to break into stable housing or access essential healthcare. Newcomers face jobs well below their qualifications, breeding disillusionment and, inevitably, departure. Yet the cycle endures because bad news is bad politics, and because international demand props up both the image and the economy. As long as social supports lag and difficult truths are shrouded in polite silence, real improvement remains stagnated, leaving the frustrated to quietly exit. This exodus isn't just about individual departures. It creates a brain drain and erodes diversity. Healthcare workers in particular are leaving for Australia, the US, and the UK, worsening already critical shortages. Families separated by migration face emotional strain and fractured communities. Property speculation leaves vast downtowns empty while locals commute farther for work. As more Canadians leave, the country's global reputation is showing cracks. Canada now ranks below many peers for healthcare efficiency, housing affordability, and migrant satisfaction. The social contract, built on a promise of fairness and security, is fracturing, with ripple effects in education, business, and social cohesion. Compared to peer nations, Canada is slipping. Countries like Germany, New Zealand, and even Portugal offer targeted policies for affordable housing and public services that keep locals and newcomers alike invested in the system. Meanwhile, Canada clings to marketing spin over structural reform. Is it changing? Yes, mostly for the worse. Housing inflation continues, and healthcare waitlists grow. Some policies are proposed, but meaningful relief has yet to come. The reality is pushing more Canadians to consider alternatives, from the US to Mexico to Europe. The outflow, once a trickle, is now a persistent leak. How do Canadians cope?
Many downsize drastically, seek remote work for higher foreign incomes, or cling to family for financial and emotional support. Others leverage lucky breaks, inheritance, windfalls, or rare rent-controlled apartments. Some simply teach themselves to accept less, fewer outings, more side hustles, lower expectations. A minority thrive, those with family wealth, international mobility, or in-demand skills like remote tech or healthcare. They're exceptions, not the rule. Their experiences are often amplified in the media, distorting public perceptions of viability. For most, staying in Canada means hard trade-offs, sacrificing space, delaying family formation, accepting subpar healthcare, or living with relentless financial stress. Dreams are postponed. Quality of life is redefined. The tipping point varies. For some, it's the third winter of rationed heating. For others, it's losing a job and facing a rental market with few options. When struggle becomes unsustainable and the illusion has faded, leaving becomes not just a choice, but a necessity. This isn't uniquely Canadian. Across the world, we're seeing upwardly mobile citizens leaving wealthy countries when cost, bureaucracy, and politics erode opportunities. It's part of a larger trend. Loyalty is transactional when systems ignore the basics of well-being. What would need to change? Radical investment in public infrastructure, truly affordable housing policies, and healthcare reform. Honest discourse, free from PR spin, could begin to address the growing cracks. These are possible, but only when the comfort of the myth is confronted by collective courage. Some realities may prove stubborn. The geographic isolation, harsh winters, and legacy policies mean that Canada's challenges won't vanish overnight. Those waiting for a utopia will find Canada is, like everywhere, complex and imperfect. The ultimate lesson? Even the most celebrated societies are vulnerable to neglect, denial, and the corrosive force of persistent inequality. Surface images sell hope, but reality shapes lives. What does real happiness cost, and are you willing to pay the price, wherever you live? If you're weighing the Canadian dream, look beyond the slogans and headlines. Consult the data, speak to those who live it daily, and remember, no system is perfect. Informed decisions demand uncomfortable truths. The Canadian dream isn't dead, but it's a lot more complicated than anyone wants to admit. The next time Canada tops a best country list, ask, for whom? Next, we'll pull back the curtain on digital nomad dreams and why remote work isn't the paradise it's marketed to be. Subscribe for the truths that matter.